Following breaking news, Tulsa County Sheriff Vic Regalado is set to announce any moment what the sheriff's office is calling new developments in the 2021 Turley missing persons case. We told you back in October of 2021 when Jack Grimes, his friend Dwayne Selby, both of them disappeared. And Dwayne's mother, Glenda Cookie Parton, disappeared when she came to town looking for her son. It has been a crazy case. Vic Regalado is speaking now. Let's listen in.
5600 North Lewis Avenue. Investigation ensued, and 2 years later, after receiving information and following up on tips, we have discovered what appears to be two bodies, again in the area of 5600 North Lewis Avenue. And based on some of the items surrounding those bodies, we believe it to be the bodies of victims Glenda Parton and Dwayne Selby. I will tell you that at this point in time, I'm not at liberty to discuss what those items were and any detailed information regarding the exact area in which these bodies were found. But what I can tell you is that from a preliminary standpoint, we believe both these bodies, again, are of Glenda Parton and Dwayne Selby, and that they both were met with violent outcomes. Of course, there's going to have to be a forensic exam to take place, as well as DNA testing to conclusively say that these are those victims. But again, based on what we have found in that area, we are pretty positive that it is going to be them. Their families have been notified, and the investigation is continuing, and we have picked up speed on it. I will tell you that we are following additional information as well as tips that are coming in, but we would encourage anybody that would have additional information that they may have been holding on to or just became aware of to contact either Crime Stoppers or the Tulsa County Sheriff's Office detectives who are in charge of this investigation. Again, I want to make it abundantly clear that there are a lot of factors surrounding the discovery of these bodies. Unfortunately, at this point in time, we can't discuss in detail what they are because it is a very active homicide investigation. And again, there are going to have to be forensic exams and DNA testing to conclusively say that it is the bodies of those victims. But we believe that they are, and enough so that we are continuing moving forward with the information that we have in this investigation. I will entertain any questions at this point in time.
Sheriff, when did you guys discover the bodies?
Yesterday.
Were they found together, and how were they found? Was it a tip or somebody walked up on it?
It was information that had come to our detectives a couple days ago. They followed up on it and hence discovered they are in the same vicinity and close enough together to say that it's in the exact vicinity.
Can you give us an idea of how close this was to where you found Jack's body?
It was probably within 300-400 yards, I believe. And the detectives are here. Is that about a fair assessment?
A little further, probably.
Okay. So somewhere around there.
So it was possible you all have walked past this before? Or?
It's possible, but again, unfortunately, there are factors that we're looking at that it may not have been simply walking past it, but it could have been. If you recall, it was in the wintertime, and there's a lot of, unfortunately, some things that we found that it potentially could have been walked past, missed by cadaver dogs, or it wasn't, and there's some things that we need to follow up on.
It's a possibility the bodies were moved at some point?
That's a possibility.
At one point there was a person of interest in this case. Is that still the case now?
We believe he's still a person of interest.
Were they found on the same property as the first?
No, they were not. These two were found together. Jack was found again, like I said, I think either a half mile to maybe even a little bit more from these bodies, but in the general vicinity of 5600 North Lewis, where, if you recall, the victim's residence was in that area as well as his workshop. They were all in that Turley area.
Sheriff, how big of a step in the investigation is this? For the investigation purposes, but also for the family of Dwayne and Cookie. I mean, it's been one of those cases where it's like taken forever to get any new information.
It is. It's a huge step. One, and most importantly, I think, is it does bring somewhat of a closure to the family. They at least know where their mother, their brother, their son is at. And it's unfortunate that it's like this, but this is a very complex homicide investigation. It's now a triple homicide with very little cooperation, very few witnesses, if any, and the ones that we have to corroborate, as well as the information that we get. It's not information that came easily, so we're going to have to make sure that we corroborate it, and this is certainly a big step in the corroboration. We found 2 bodies, and we found items that again lead us to believe that it belongs to Glenda as well as Dwayne. So it is certainly a step forward, but we still have a lot of work to do, but again, it is certainly a big step forward.
Same manner of death as the first body discovered?
Yes, I would say so.
I've tried to get the autopsy on Jack Grimes. Is it done yet? Or are you all holding that for the public for your investigation?
That, to my knowledge, if it's done, it should be available through the autopsy forensic center. So I don't know. They release those.
Were they shot?
I can't. At this point in time, it's a little too early. And again, it would be a guess until we have a forensic exam take place.
Are you still trying to piece together how they got from the cars to the bodies there? I mean, the cars were on very far away from where you're describing all 3 bodies.
They are. And we worked through that, and we have a belief on how that happened. But again, being that it's still an active homicide investigation, we're going to keep certain facts close to the vest.
This has been a pretty big investigation for the department. Can you kind of put in perspective how many, it's been 2 years almost, how many tips have come in and how many haven't led to anything?
I would tell you that I would like to say that we've received, an abundance of tips, but we haven't. And the ones that have come in, again, we have to look into each one of those tips and chase it down, and that takes man-hours. And most of them have not panned out. This one did. And that works with any investigation, no matter how complex. Every tip that we get, we take it very seriously. We have to chase it down, and that's why we encourage people, send us tips. They're very helpful, but don't make them up. Don't send them just for the sake of sending them. If it's pertinent and you think you have true knowledge of it, we encourage you to send those. But yeah, we have to follow it up. And again, this is a complex one in the fact that there were no witnesses per se. We have a lot of video, and our detectives have done an outstanding job of following up and finding those videos on our own, and it's provided a very tight timeline, and I think that because of that, the person of interest is still a person of interest.
Any motives, theories of motives?
We do have some. And yet those are, and we're still chasing down a couple of those, but again, we're not at liberty to release those quite yet.
Do we believe, can you say, did any of them ever even left Tulsa? I mean, that was the story from the beginning, was they were heading out of town. Do you think this happened all in Tulsa and stayed in Tulsa?
This happened in Tulsa, stayed in Tulsa.
How far out have you traveled looking for them? I mean, when the Welch girls disappeared, they sent people to Florida because they thought they were spotted as waitresses. Did you send somebody to, I don't know, Vegas or something?
We've made contact with people in Fort Worth, but very easily in the investigation, or very early rather, it was easy to surmise that these murders had taken place here in Tulsa.
Do you think these killings all took place at the same time, or?
We believe they were at separate times, but it's a very, very extremely tight timeline.
You said it was easy to surmise it was a Tulsa, but then you also say it was a complex investigation. Is that some of the complexity of it, that some of it's been super slam dunk and other of it has not?
Well, to surmise it is based off evidence and based off a timeline that has been put together by our detectives through the investigation. Complex in the fact that these are timelines and these are facts and these are tips that they've had to chase down and spend time in doing so in investigations of what they do, and the fact that there is, motive is certainly not clear. It's becoming clearer. No witnesses, and a very tight group in the Turley area has any knowledge of what happened, and so in order to get into that tight little group has been difficult and complex.
Do you believe, because we all did one-year pieces in the system last year. You said there's no threat to the public. Is that still the case?
That is still the case. Any further questions?
I guess what's next? I mean, you guys say pretty close.
Yeah, we're still actively at the scene. There's still some testing, again, that it needs to be done. I would tell you that, again, because of the items we found, we do believe it is these two victims. If it's not, then we have a very grand problem on our hands. So we're hoping that's not the case. And of course, there are tips that we're still following up on and information that we've been able to glean from this discovery that we're going to continue moving forward.
Were they found buried or hidden? Or?
I can't discuss those details at this point in time, I'm sorry.
Anything else found with them?
Again, there were items that were found that I can't discuss at this point in time that lead us to believe that they are in fact Linda and Dwayne.
I meant weapons, but
No, that'd be nice.
How likely do you think these bodies are not? That when they found this evidence, we still don't have DNA to prove?
Again, I would be very surprised if it's not them, and if it's not them, then we have a very huge problem on our hands.
Yeah, how long do you think the bodies have been there?
Based on the investigation, since October of 2021.
All right, if there's no other questions, we're going to end the press conference. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
That was Tulsa County Sheriff Vic Regalado. He said this is a big step forward in the investigation of the 2021 Turley missing persons case. Now a triple homicide investigation. He said a recent tip came in leading investigators to the remains of two people near 56th Street North in Lewis. And he did say items found around those people led investigators are leading them to believe the remains are Glenda Parton, you see here, and Dwayne Selby. They say they'll have to do some forensic testing to make sure that that is the case, but they do believe it is those two people, that is mother and son. Disappeared back in 2021. They say it does appear they died violently. Jack Grimes also missing at that time. His body was found in October of 2021, about a week after the disappearance. Real quickly, there is still a person of interest in the case, but we do want to let you know that nobody has been arrested as of yet. They say they are still following up tips and they would like more tips to come in. We will continue to follow updates in this story. We'll have live updates on Fox 23 News at 5. You can also follow this story on fox23.com and the Fox 23 News app. For now, we will send you back to regular programming.